What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Seattle Rick 206, aka that boy Rick, aka they call him Slick, aka H1 Hype Man Rick 206, aka 2D Hydroplane Game Rick, aka Rooster Tail Rick 206, also known as Rick McQueen Jr. Lead promotions for Hydro 2D Racing, the video game. I appreciate y'all. Please take this time and opportunity to share the video. Those watching this, that will be watching this on YouTube, please like, share, and subscribe. Hydro 2D, or Team Hydro 2D, and your boy Rick, about to take you for a ride. I appreciate you guys. Yeah, you saw the title of the stream. Take me back to the 80s. Take me back to the 80s. Oh yeah. Yeah, well, we gonna make it rumble, baby. So sit back, relax. We'll be on the water momentarily. I appreciate you guys. Here we go. Another show. For sure. See y'all in a second.
From our stadium view, and we're right on the water's edge, and for the starting lineup of Heat 1A, here's Sam Cole.
Okay, Jim, we've got the U2. That's the Squire Shop, driven by Earl Hall, a 26-year-old rookie out of Hampton, Virginia. The boat's owned by Bob Style and sponsored by the Squire Shop stores out of Seattle. We have the U3, the Miss Renault. The driver, Milner Irvin out of Coral Gables, Florida. The boat is yellow and black. It's its first race, and it's owned by Jerry Chaneth. The U12, the Miss Budweiser, driver Jim Kropfeld, red, white, and gold, owned by the winningest owner in hydroplane history, Bernie Little. And the U40, the American Speedy Printing Special, driven by Fred Leland, owned by Bob Taylor, and it is white, yellow, and orange. Those are our first four boats for the action here today, Jim.
High, the 1 minute gun is fired as the boats now go up to our left, to the western end of the course, in corners number 3 and 4. There leading up is Earl Hall in the Squire Shop. He leads the pack up there, followed by Budweiser, who wants lane 1, the Renault, and the American Speedy Printing. They're all bunched up there now. And they'll come down here in a flying start as the clock continues to wind down in the running start. Squire Shop will take it wide. Lane 1 will be Miss Budweiser. Slot number 2 will be the American Speedy Printing. Slot 3 will be taken by the Renault, and on the outside is the Squire Shop. You hear the tremendous roar as we're very close to the boats. They come down for the start.
Jim, and it's Fred Leland the American Speedy, the Renault, and the Squire Shop. 1, 2, and 3. But here comes Jimmy Kronfeld in the Miss Budweiser.
He's up on the inside, Sam, as he hangs it on the hook there in corner number 1. And it'll be the short way around the course, and that's the rooster tail of your lead boat right now. Jim Kronfeld, but look at the Squire Shop come right on the side, and it's going to be a dogfight down the bench, Sam.
Rookie Earl Hall coming out of there is Bob Style Squire Shop. Jim Kronfeld and Miss Budweiser up the backstretch, but right now is Earl Hall from the Squire Shop, our leader. Here comes Jim Kronfeld about a half a boat length away.
And he pulls him even and then goes past him as they come down the corner number 3 for the first time. It'll be 5 times around this mile and 2/3 course. And on the inside, you can see him hang on the hook. You get that second rooster tail off that skid fin that keeps him from spinning out. But again, coming wide out of the spray is the Squire Shop, and he's giving him plenty of room right now. Kronfeld will now take a slight lead because of that wide turn as they come down here now to complete lap number 1. Here comes Earl Hall again, Jim. He hooked the boat just a little bit as they come out of that turn, but Jim Kronfeld goes way down. Earl Hall's back at the front in Bob Style Squire Shop. Speedy Printing is 3rd, and the Renault is now 4th as they come down to the completion of lap number 1. They're all on lap number 205. And there is our leader, Jim Kronfeld in Bernie Little's Miss Budweiser. Kronfeld from Cincinnati, Ohio. The crew of the boat based in Seattle, and Bernie Little from Lakeland, Florida. They are really spread out over the country. And now while he has a lead up in his roots tail, once again, here comes the rookie, Earl Hall. You'll just see him coming up there on the side. He's hidden there a little bit by the Budweiser rooster tail. And they're just about side by side right now as they come down to corner number 3 again. What a show. These fans are getting on this mile and 2/3. And it's the Squire Shop with Earl Hall taking over the lead from Kronfeld as they come toward us to complete lap number 2.
102 miles an hour for Jim Kronfeld on lap number 1. Hall holds the course records here for limited hydroplane racing. And Jimmy Kronfeld is the world record holder here. And they're side by side here. There's our leader, Jim. Earl Hall's back up on top in the Squire Shop right now, going down into there.
Even lane number 2, taking this mile and 2/3 course a little wide, while the Budweiser with Jim Kronfeld hangs on the hook inside. But Speedy Printing is 3rd, and the Miss Renault is 4th. As we now have 3 laps to go.
As they go through there, Jim Kronfeld has things going his way. He has the inside track, but here comes Mr. Hall up on the outside. We got a heck of a race going here, Mr. Hendrick.
And the speeds will not be as fast as usual because this, as we said at the opening of the program, is our smallest course. They can't get the long straightaway speeds up. As soon as they get near the top end, they have to start slowing down the turn again because the water, of course, is not banked. And these boats do not turn like the average speedboat. They turn flat. The only thing that holds them in is the skid fin on the left side. If that lets go, it's bye-bye birdie. Now almost side by side at the apex of corners number 3 and 4. They come around and complete lap number 3 with 2 more to go as they spin out. Off that corner, they'll come on down and complete lap number 3. And once again, the boat on your left, or back at your right, is the Miss Budweiser. There she is. And look at this Squire Shop once again, Sam. Give it chase.
Here comes Earl Hall. Their lap speed that time, 104 miles an hour on number 2. Hall doing one heck of a job in Bob Styles' boat. Jimmy Kronfeld, though, keeps him out on his hip. Our 3rd place boat, by the way, is the American Speedy Printing boat. As he goes down the main stretch, and Fred Leland made a last-minute qualifying effort yesterday afternoon, 10 minutes before the course closed, and got in the race. But right now, here's Mr. Kronfeld in Bernie Little's beer wagon.
As he comes off of corner number 2, side by side, moving up again. What a dogfight. Let's see who's got the acceleration. They'll put down the nitrous oxide button, which spits some instant juice into those engines, and they'll get up on the straightaway at about a half a boat length lead right now for the Squire Shop as they come into corner number 3. And they should come around to take the green flag, signifying one more lap, and we may have a drag race off that number 4 pin, Sam Cole, in the final lap.
Right you are. The green flag is flying. Everyone was legal at the start. Kronfeld on the inside. Hall's running a wider track. He's staying outside, but he brought it in a little closer that time. And as they come across here, Jim, they're going to be dead even. Takes the lead once again here by about 2 boat lengths as they head down into that first turn. Their speed to last lap 102.990 miles an hour.
And we're down to 3
on
boats.
the inside. Here comes Mr. Hall.
And we're down to 3 boats. Miss Renault has returned to the pits on that last lap, so the American Speedy Printing currently is riding in number 3 spot. As he comes by. There he is, the roar of his engines as he comes about 20 feet from us. And now, side by side, with 3/4 of a lap to go. Here it is, the Squire Shop on the outside with a slight lead over Miss Budweiser. The boat on your left, the Squire Shop. Now moving up on the inside, Jim Kronfeld, and he really course, the calls to it. He must have been playing cat and mouse. He is really hawking down that straightaway now, and now he's going to have to hold it, hanging on the hook, in tight on lane number 1. Look at that rooster tail of water. Tons of water coming off of that left sponson, and Cropfeld knows the checkered flag is waiting. 400 points, which will give him a leg up on making this final and the Champions Park Plug Regatta. And coming down towards the stand to take the checkered flag is the winner of Heat 1A, Miss Budweiser.
Second place will go to Earl Hall in the Squire Shop. At third will be Fred Leland in the American Speedy Printing. And you know, Cropfeld showed some experience there. He cut out in front of Hall as they come through there and made him go way wide. And that was what won the race for the Miss Budweiser there.
They're both fine limited drivers. They're going to develop fine in the unlimited department as our third place boat comes down now. And he'll take the checkered flag. Sam, that is him, the American Speedy Printing, but Fred Leland minus his horizontal stabilizer, which he lost.
That's right. As it goes by here, everyone, you got a good look at the state of Texas up on the front of that boat, owned by Bob Taylor out of Houston, Texas.
Now, the final order finish, if you will, Sam.
The Miss Budweiser and Jim Cropfeld, they'll get 400 points. Second place, the Squire Shop and Earl Hall, they'll get 300 points. And in third, it's the American Speedy Printing Special and Fred Leland, 225 points. The Miss Renault will not finish.
And we'll be back with more action here at Marine Stadium in Miami after this timeout. Back here at Miami's Marine Stadium, the second heat of the day, elimination action. Here's the Atlas Van Lines coming across our screen right now. And Sam, bring us the lineup for this heat of action.
Okay, Jim, you mentioned the Atlas Van Lines. That's the U1, the blue and white boat, the defending national champion, owned by Fran Muncie and Jim Lucero, driven by Chip Hanauer. We have the U8, the Executone out of Seattle, Washington, driver George Johnson, sponsored by Executone. It too is a blue and white boat. The third blue and white boat in this heat is the U10. That's the Miss Pure Delight, driven by Bobby Howard out of Cape Coral, Florida. And our fourth boat, the Miss Tosti, red, white, and green, owned by Jim Saddam, driven by Todd Yarling.
The boats are now circling and exactly right in front of the stadium. They're going up the back straightaway. Leading the way is the Pure Delight with Bobby Howard out of the Cape Coral, Florida area, followed up there by George Johnson, the Executone, the Tosti, and coming up way late. But he'll be there, I'm sure, when the start of this race goes on, as the Atlas Van Lines with Chip Hanauer. It'll be a four-boat start in the flying. We have exactly 22 seconds to the start of this race. They cannot jump the clock. If they do, they're penalized an extra lap, so timing is all important. As we look to our left, the skyline of Miami shows us current turns number 3 and 4. And they're coming down toward us now for the all-important start of this race. And it's still going to be 5 seconds to go. Bobby Howard is going to look like he's going to get the best start unless he can jump it. He better slow back off. Bobby Howard, I believe, jumped the clock. Here comes the Atlas Van Lines. And the Executone. Now all our boats are down to corner number 1. The question we have right now, did Bobby Howard in the Pure Delight jump the clock? And from our vantage point, unofficially, we would have to say yes, he was just slightly early. And now our lead boat is swinging way wide, hooking just a little bit, shaking loose, coming down the straightaway. It is going to be our leader, Chip Hanauer in the Atlas Van Lines. Sam?
Chip down in that first turn. Todd Yarling hooked and spun to Miss Tosti. He's got it back on plane though right now. Chip Hanauer's way out in front here of everybody else. From our vantage point, you know, it looked like Mr. Howard was right on the money. He did a good job, but he put it on there. It looked like it was on the money. Hanauer came up behind him and took the lead midway down the straightaway, and it looks like Chip Hanauer is going to have everything his way.
No doubt about it. If he can just keep it going in the engine housing as it comes down here, riding very low in the front of the Atlas Van Lines.
Started there, Jim. In testing on Friday afternoon, the deck blew off the boat. They worked for 24 hours straight and rebuilt the boat from all the damages and everything, and it's just a miracle that Chip Hanauer is out here today. And Bobby Howard's crew, as we've seen here, he also had a lot of damage earlier this week when his boat hooked and spun, and he lost a lot of stuff. But he's got it out here today. It's been a very tough week, but both of these teams have put it together, and they're in the show here today.
This boat is here. We're looking at the Atlas Van Lines having 3 straight heat problems in our first race of the year. Has not 1 point yet, and they are the defending national champion. They would like to win this race. This was one of the few races they did not win last year. Bernie Lewis, Miss Budweiser captured this Champions Spark Plug Regatta. Right now, looking for his first points of the year after a disastrous start with a lot of mechanical problems. Here's our leader here, Heat 1B, the Atlas Van Lines, Chip Hanauer, out of the greater Seattle area. As he comes in close, and look at that, we take our cameras right in the cockpit.
as he does that, he just puts a lap on Todd Yarling and Tostiowski, who got a little bit shaken up down there in the turn a little bit earlier on the first lap when he went down there and hooked the boats. Our leader is Atlas Van Lines. Right now, second place will be the Pure Delight, third the Executone, and the Tostiowski in fourth place.
And of course, that will all depend on whether they decide whether he jumped the clock or not, because that would move Bobby Howard from the Pure Delight out of second place back to fourth. And there he comes right close to shore. We're only about 20 feet from close. From time to time, you will not be able to hear us because the engines of these aircraft engines will just run us right out. The Tostiowski, this is young man Todd Yarling from the Madison, Indiana area, getting his feet wet for the second time this year. Speaking of Bobby Howard, who is, of course, a driver for the Captran Resort Special a couple of years ago. He's back with his own boat. He and his wife Marlene are the of that boat. I understand you had a chance to talk to Bobby Howard, Sam Cole, earlier today before the race. Let's go to that conversation.
Bobby, you had some problems. You had a near accident during qualifications here, but I understand it was purely delightful that you got the boat all fixed and she'll be in the race today.
Oh yeah, we're all set. Boys worked all night getting the boat ready. Went into a turn a little bit too hard, and I hooked the Miss Pure Delight and tore the deck up, but we're ready to go. We're running strong, and we're very excited. This is our course. We've raced here for many years, and we're ready.
As the only all-Florida team in today's race, I know there's going to be a lot of fans cheering for you.
Oh yeah, we're expecting a couple of busloads of folks coming down to see the Miss Pure Delight run, and we're very excited. Beautiful race course, beautiful day. It's going to be super.
That was a conversation earlier with Bobby Howard, who is now currently running second in the Pure Delight. We had an official word, Sam Cole. You did say that all the starters were legal. From our angle, it was a question mark, but the officials, of course, on the job.
That's right. Here's Bobby Howard. He's in second place right now as he goes up the backstretch. As we said, Chip Hanau and the Atlas Van Lines will score their first points on the 1983 Thunderbolt World Series Tour. He'll pick up 400 points if he can get it around here to the finish line.
And he's now in corner number 3 to come around the checker flag, and this heat will be history. One of our boats has dropped out, and that is George Johnson in the Executone down there in corners number 1 and 2. He was currently running third. Now Todd Yarling and Tostiowski will take over in third place. Here's our leader, the winner of Heat 1B, and picking up the first points of the year, 400 points for the Atlas Van Lines and Chip Hanauer, defending national champion. Just going for a Sunday ride, not a lot of competition going on.
Our final order of finish there, Jim, will be the Atlas Van Lines and Chip Hanauer with 400 points. Second place will go to the Miss Pure Delight and Bobby Howard. And third place will go to Todd Yarling and the Miss Tostiowski, while the Executone and George Johnson did not finish, but they'll be back later.
As the crowd anticipates a second appearance of preliminary heats for our unlimited Thunderboats today, it reminds us that one of our top boats is missing here on our production from ESPN's Champion Sparkplug Regatta, a boat that won. Back here at Miami's Marine Stadium, less than 1 minute to go to Heat 2A. The Atlas Van Lines, the Squire Shop, and Miss Tostiowski all on the course. Miss Renault, with the driver Miller Irwin, did not answer the starting 1 minute gun and has been disqualified. They had their problems earlier when he returned to the pits after lap number 3. So the boats are now coming down the back chute, and there's the two favorites would be the blue boat, the Atlas Van Lines, and the red over cab there, the red cab over I should say, was the Squire Shop as they come down to corner number 3 and catch up to Todd Yarling in the Tostiowski, who is just taking his time now, coming off of corners number 3 over to corner number 4. We have about 10 seconds to the start of this race. As the clock continues to roll, the white flag is up. On the inside, to your right, the blue and white, the blue bomber of the Atlas Van Lines with Chip Hanauer. The boat on your left, the red and white Squire Shop, driven by the rookie Earl Hall. There's the gun, and here's the start. And it is the Atlas Van Lines getting chased now as they go down to corner number 1. It was the Squire Shop on top at the outset. Sam Cole.
Chip Hanauer had it wired there, and so did Earl Hall as they came down there. They both sped up the backstretch, but then slowed down going into that upper turn. For the start, they came down. They were both right on the money. And right now, Mr. Chip Hanauer is on the inside of the Atlas, but here comes Earl Hall again, Jim.
Earl Hall seems to be riding the best we've seen him do all season, and he now just pulls a little bit ahead of the Atlas Van Lines as they come down the back chute here in Heat 2A.
Hanauer's had it amazing week here, and he's getting everything his money's worth right now as they go up on the inside. Earl Hall, a rookie out of Hampton, Virginia, and Chip Hanauer both grew up in limited class racing, and they raced here on this stadium in 7-liter boats a year and a half ago. Right now, as they come out of turn number 4 and head down here, Hanauer has the inside track, the faster track, but Hall is sliding the Squire Shop way wide to keep up the RPM.
And here they come down the complete lap number 1. Almost side by side. Boy, what a dogfight this is going to be. 2 top boats now. And remember, 400 points for first place, 300 points for second, 225 points for third. And after they race twice, and they will, of course, accumulate all the points. And the top 5 point getters. Here's your Tostiasti currently running third with the rookie Todd Yarling out of Madison. He's getting the rough ride. He's having trouble steering that boat today, Sam.
That's right, he is. Right now, Yarling comes down here to complete his first lap here in this heat in Jim Sedan's boat out of Madison, Indiana. Meanwhile, up the back stretch, Earl Hall's opened up about a 4-boat length lead over the Atlas Van Lines, but here comes Chip Hanauer. Right now, that is Jim. That is less than a half a second lead for Earl Hall.
Well, you know, as you look at the red boat leading the Squire Shop with the rookie Earl Hall, and on the inside, the national defending champion in the Atlas Van Lines, Chip Hanauer. Chip Hanauer started boat racing at the age of 9 in a special child's class out in Seattle. He's been racing about 20 years. Here they come as they come down now, almost side by side, the red boat. The Squire Shop still showing a slight lead.
Chip Hanauer on the inside there, Earl Hall on the outside. It's amazing that this Atlas boat is even in the race. That entire right side of the deck exploded into flames yesterday during a testing run, and that crew worked for 24 straight hours and got on the course about 5 minutes before testing concluded here today. But meanwhile, Earl Hall and the Squire Shop has had a heck of a week. They haven't had any problems at all, and everything's run their way here this week.
We had some dark smoke coming off the right bank of the Atlas Van Lines and overload. Maybe it was the nitrous oxide, but he really is trying to step off of corner number 2 now, and you get a good shot of Chip Hanauer in the Atlas as they come up the back chute. You can see that white water. He's looking at it. He's looking at the rooster tail of the boat he's trying to catch as they come and pull about side by side to come down here and complete lap number 3. Now they hang it on the hook. You can see the rooster tail start to come up off that left side where the skid pin is, and they're almost side by side as they come down into the pit area and come back toward us for the completion of the lap number 3.
We're side by side here again. Chip Hanauer's out in front now, Jim.
We can see that damage if you look, the blue paint, the blue and white paint job of Atlas Van Lines scorched from that minor explosion that you talked about earlier, Sam. In fact, Sam Cole had a chance to talk to the driver about that explosion earlier today.
Chip, a year ago on this very beach, we talked about your crew building a boat in 100 days. Well, they rebuilt a boat in about 24 hours. What about that?
Well, it seems we come to Miami, we're always rebuilding something, and unfortunately yesterday we went out for the first run of the day and we had fuel vapor under the deck, and it got ignition from a fuel pump spark, and we blew the whole right side of the deck off. So they were up all night replacing that deck.
5 minutes before the course closed for pre-race testing, you got out on there and the boat seemed to look pretty good.
The boat's handling very well. It's not going exceptionally fast. We didn't set any records here. You know, last year the record was 126 here. We're the fastest at 121. So everybody's speed's a little bit depressed, but at least the boat's handling. I think we can run close to that speed in the race.
A year ago, we also talked about the Bill Munsey legacy, the fact that this was a new team. Well, after the first start of the first heat today, that year's passed. Do you feel that the Hanauer Atlas era is beginning?
Well, you know, Bill's always going to be a part of our team. You know, the reason we're still here is in Bill's memory. And as long as Atlas Van Lines races, Bill's going to be with us. But last year was a memorable year, but that's forgotten. You know, yesterday's home run doesn't win today's ball game. It's a whole new ball game. The Budweiser's faster than ever. The Squire Shop, the new boat, the Renault. Miss Madison Rich Plan is unbelievably fast and consistent this year. So it's a whole new ball game.
A fine young man, Chip Hanauer. As he talked to Sam Cole earlier, he has now taken about a 7-boat length lead over the second place Squire Shop, and he'll be on his way to the bank with 400 more points, and that'll give him a perfect 800 for the day and qualify him for the final here in the Champion Spark Plug Regatta, Miami's Marine Stadium. As they come now shaking loose, here's your second place boat, the Squire Shop. As our leader now comes down to take the checker flag. With the city of Miami in the background, what a beautiful sight, a rooster tail, and takes the checker flag for first place. Second place goes to the Squire Shop in a fine battle, almost deck to deck for about 4.5 laps. The Squire Shop at Earl Hall was second. The Tostiasti with Todd Yarling will be overall third. with our final heat of preliminary action in just a moment. A good crowd on hand here now for the final elimination heat before we get to the final for the grand prize Champion Spark Plug Regatta. Sam Cole, you're at Heat 2B. How about the entries?
Okay, Jim, we've got the U12. That's the Miss Budweiser, driven by Jim Kropfeld out of Cincinnati, Ohio. The American Speedy Printing Special, owned by Bob Taylor out of Houston, Texas. That's the U40. The U10, the Miss Pure Delight, and Bobby Howard. And the Executone U8, driven by George Johnson. All four boats on the race course, Jim, and they're all heading up that backstretch for the start here of Heat 2B.
And leading the way is American Speedy Printing. Following with Pure Delight, there's Budweiser, and also the Executone. They're all going up now to quarter number 3, heading in a westerly direction. This course runs east and west. We are on the south end of the course. And these boats will pass within 25 to 30 feet of us, and the roar of the engines will no doubt drown us out. We're getting down now to 7 seconds of the start of this race as the clock is running. On the inside is American Speedy Printing. Coming out wide is Miss Budweiser, followed by Pure Delight and the Executone. There's the gun, and here they come. And on the outside will be Miss Budweiser and Speedy Printing. Kropfeld takes the Budweiser over to corner number 1 for the first time. Executone is giving chase. As they go down to corner number 1, Sam Cole.
Jim, Fred Leland out of Seattle's got everything going pretty good in the American Speedy Special. He's on the inside. Jimmy Kropfeld has a lot more horsepower in Bernie Little's Miss Budweiser. He may just be saving equipment as he brings it out of there. And they're going to, looks like the guys are going to play a little cat and mouse out there as they go up that backstretch. Kropfeld in the lead, and Fred Leland making a heck of a run here in second place in the beautiful American Speedy Special.
Well, you know, they're not going to stretch any engines because now this is the final elimination heat. They'll take the 5 top point getters out of the 9 boats, and they will run for the big money. Speedy Printing right there, driven by Fred Leland from the Seattle area. Giving chase to Bernie Little's Miss Budweiser, driven by Cincinnatian Jim Kropfeld. And there he is. His rooster tails as he bounces now, and now he'll shake it loose, stab it, get on the nitrous oxide, and come on down to complete lap number 1.
And as he goes by Jim Kropfeld is our new leader in the National High Point Chase. Fred Leland putting in a good show there in Bob Taylor's boat. As they came down for the start, Bobby Howard got up in traffic up there, nearly spun around the Miss Pure Delight. He's running in 3rd place as he goes by right here. And then George Johnson bringing up the tail in Executone. But Jim Kropfeld and Bernie Little's Miss Budweiser, our National High Point leader right now with a perfect 1,200 points over the 2 races.
Well, they had 800 points the first race because they did not start, so they couldn't really be considered perfect. They had 800 points. The 2 that he started, he won, and he won today is the 3rd, so this will be his 4th straight heat that he has won with an official start. Our boats are now pretty well spread out as Jim Kropfeld comes around to the pit area. And you know, right now, you've got to know that Bernie Little is one happy guy. He wants to, of course, have his boat win anything it can. This is his hometown area. As the Budweiser comes by, earlier today we talked to team owner Bernie Little about his anxieties and his excitement on race day. Bernie, hometown race for all it's worth. This has to make you extra nervous.
Yes, it does, Jim. I think I got up this morning nervous. Miss Budweiser has been encountering its problems here in the last couple days of qualifying, and of course this is the 2nd race for our new driver, Jim Kropfeld, and when you look over this 1 2/3 course with 7,000 pounds doing 170 miles an hour, and you look at the end of that island and you know you got a turn, that's got to give you a few sleepless hours.
The carburation, there's been some problems in camp because of the cool waters up at Lake of the Ozarks as compared to here where it's more humidity. That's giving you problems.
Well, that's what we've said, you know, but really, yeah, you got about 85, 87% humidity here today, and of course you have to correct for that. And because I think most of the boats inject water and methanol, and when you're taking the water out of the air, you don't need to take it out of the tank. But we've had just little things that's been not shaping up, but we're ready to go racing today.
And his boat, the Miss Budweiser, comes off of corner number 2, now with an extensive lead over the 2nd place boat, American Speedy, and of course, the Pure Delight. is also up there in that battlefield, as is the, let's check that boat, Sam, as they
That's
come
the
by.
Executive Jim Fred Leland in second place right now. And Bob Taylor's American Speedy Printing. Bobby Howard coming up now in the Miss Pure Delight on his inside, the Executive. Here we see Fred Leland. Now there's Bobby Howard and George Johnson inside and outside going down into that turn.
You're talking about the Pure Delight. Bobby Howard spun it out just as he went into corner number 1. He did that in practice and did a complete 360. Tried to take it too tight in practice earlier this year.
That's right. It's the green flag lap that time for Jim Cromwell. He's on the checkered flag lap right now aboard Bernie Little's beautiful Miss Budweiser. And a win here today would bring the Budweiser Company and Atlas Van Lines tied again for corporate victories in unlimited hydroplane history. Budweiser number 2 right now, and they'll be back in number 1.
And Speedy continues now to hold second place as he goes down to corner number 3. But a whole 3/4 of a lap lead for the Miss Budweiser. So we'll place it for you. The Budweiser first, Speedy Printing second, Pure Delight third, and the Executive with George Johnson is fourth. Sam will, of course, tally all the points, and at the conclusion of this heat, tell us exactly who is in the final. 5 fastest boats for the final of the day. Green flag now for Speedy Printing. He comes by. Green flag also for Pure Delight and the Executive, and the checker flag will come out now. Here's your leader and your winner for the second straight time today for this Budweiser with Jim Cromwell and Bernie Little, this Budweiser.
That's the second heat win for Jim Cromwell here today. Had a pretty good year. His 4 starts, 4 finishes thus far. That gives him 1,600 points. Right now, the battle's going to be for second and third place. Fred Leland seems to have second place pretty well going his way right now, but George Johnson's making a strong challenge on Bobby Howard in the Miss Pure Delight as they go up the backstretch. Here's Jim Cromwell and the Miss Budweiser, our winner in this heat. As they go up there, George Johnson has overtaken Bobby Howard for third place.
A battle for second as George Johnson has now got less than a half a lap to go. He needs those 300 points to qualify for the finale. He's bouncing through some rough water. This is a very important finish for George Johnson, the Executive people, as Bobby Howard is going to be on his hip. Now let's watch him. Speedy Printing will come in and take second place.
Here comes Fred Leland right now. He's our second place finisher here.
And it's going to be Executive third and Pure Delight will be overall fourth.
Bobby Howard suffered some wing damage. The fairings on the wings were ripped loose as he went by there. But our final order of finish, the Miss Budweiser the winner, American Speedy Printing second, Executive third, and the Miss Pure Delight takes fourth place.
And here's your final field. Miss Budweiser, the Atlas Van Lines, tied with 800 points. The Squire Shop with 600. American Speedy Printing, 525. Along with Sam Cole back here at Miami's Marine Stadium for the Champion Spark Plug Regatta. This is the final. No matter what points they accrued in the preliminary heats, it is going to be the order of finish, winner take all to the checker flag, and the 5-boat field is on the course. Sam, how about running down our finalists?
Jim, there's the Tostiasti and Todd Yarling, owned by Jim Saddam out of Madison, Indiana. Going through turns 3 and 4 right now. As you see on the screen is the Atlas Van Lines, driven by Chip Hanauer out of Seattle, Washington. The boat is owned by Fran Muncie. Our next competitor, the U-12, the Miss Budweiser, owned by Bernie Little, who won last year's race here. Rookie driver Jim Cromwell in the field here today. He's won 2 of our elimination heats. Our 4th boat, another rookie, Earl Hall out of Hampton, Virginia, aboard the U-2. That's Bob Stiles Squire Shop. And our 5th starter here will be the Miss Pure Delight, driven by Bobby Howard, the only Florida entry in today's race, and that boat is blue and white, numbered U-10.
Now, a lot of racing takes place right here. They're going to psych each other out. They have to fight for the lane they want. I believe Budweiser will want lane 1. Atlas Van Lines will probably pick lane 2. Squire Shop lane 3 or 4. They'll fill out the field toward the shoreline that way. Agree?
And as you're right, Jim, you've called it just right. As they go up there, you've got Jim Cromwell blowing water real slow as he heads into that turn. Chip Hanauer is behind everyone else, and off to Cromwell's right is Earl Hall as he leads the field into that turn. Hall's going to be up in first right now as they come down for the start, but he's going to take that boat way, way wide to eat up some time as Earl Hall and Bob Stiles Squire Shop leads the field down to the starting line here for this, the Champion Spark Plug Regatta.
Less than 10 seconds. They're going to be just about on the money. It is Budweiser lane 1, Atlas Van Lines lane 2 on the outside the Squire Shop. There's your 3 boats up on top with Pure Delight and Tostiasti following the field. As they dive down to corner number 1, it looks like it may be Atlas, but look out for that Budweiser and that spray, Sam.
As you see the water coming off of the huge skid fins on these boats, it's Jim Cropfeld and Bernie Little's Miss Budweiser bringing it off turn 2, heading it up the backstretch, and he fishtailed it just a little bit there. These guys have everything hanging out in this heat with Hanauer about a second and a half behind as he goes up the backstretch here on lap 1.
The wind has picked up here. The boats are riding a little looser than they were in the preliminary heats as Jim Cropfeld in the Budweiser goes down the corner number 3. And you can see our second place boat just coming in. That is the Atlas Van Lines into his rooster tail spray. He hangs it on the hook, the wall of water, about a ton or so. He bounces through some slop, shakes it loose, and now comes down to complete lap number 1. Sam, get a time clock on him.
And as Jim Cropfeld brings Miss Budweiser across the line at the end of lap 1, his speed 118.810 miles an hour, and Bernie Little's Miss Budweiser. But Chip Hanauer isn't giving up. He's right behind Cropfeld as they dive into that first turn here on the second lap.
And you saw the Cropfeld boat, Miss Budweiser, come way up on its right spots, and boy, I saw the bottom half of that boat. He better watch out. It's getting a little windy, as is really the case here. Late in the afternoon, the wind comes out of the east, swirls around the stadium, and they could be in trouble. Right now, Cropfeld comes down toward corner number 3. He's got 1.5 lap in, 3.5 laps to go. Right now, he just has to keep it in the engine housing.
That's right, and as he takes it through turn 3 right there, no driver in this heat has ever won on this race course here before. It's a new course to all 5 drivers, but no one's giving any ground here as Jim Cropfeld and the Miss Budweiser lead here on lap number 2, and whoa, he gets a little bit of air there and takes off, Jim.
Yes, he is loose on the front end, as we said, and right now he doesn't know, but he's now got about 4.5 second lead over this boat. The Atlas Van Lines currently riding in second place with Chip Hanauer at the wheel.
Cropfeld's lap speed on number 2 was 114.280. He slowed down a tick, but Hanauer's not giving up any ground. Cropfeld has lapped the Miss Tostiasti as he went into that turn, and now he's setting his sights on Bobby Howard and the Pure Delight, and as you saw that, he cut through the rooster tail with the Miss Pure Delight, and he's going to put a lap on Mr. Howard right now.
He does. So first place is the Miss Budweiser. Second place is the Atlas Van Lines. Third place would be
the Squire Shop and Earl Hall, 26-year-old rookie out of Hampton, Virginia, driving out of Seattle for Bob Style. With Mr. Cropfeld on his way to the bank, he's driven 2 races here on ESPN, Jim. He ran out of gas in Houston a year ago. His boat failed to start in Lake of the Ozarks 2 weeks ago, but right now he's on his way to the bank if everything can hold together.
And he has 2 more laps to go, and he's now opened up about a 7.5-second lead over the Atlas Van Lines. Squire Shop third. Fourth place is the Pure Delight with Bobby Howard, and fifth place is the Tostiasti. And as our fourth place boat goes in the corner number 1, our leader, Miss Budweiser, with Jim Cropfeld, shakes it loose off of corner number 2, stabs it to the left, and starts down the back chute once again.
And Jim, his speed on lap number 3 was 110.290 miles an hour. Cropfeld heading up the backstretch. Hanauer giving chase in the Atlas Van Lines.
Uh-oh, look out. We just saw that boat almost go sideways. The Atlas Van Lines, he had to recover, and this is going to cost Chip Hanauer some valuable seconds in trying to catch this boat, the leader, Miss Budweiser.
That's right. You know, as Jim Cropfeld brings the Miss Budweiser out of turn number 4, he has been holding the same lead over Hanauer for about 3.5 laps. Hanauer lost all the time he had held on to right there because Cropfeld's on his way to the winner's circle for the first time as an unlimited driver.
He's had many, many race wins in limited driving. You know he wants this one very bad. He's just taken the green flag. He's 1 more lap to go, and he'll bring the first win in about a year to Bernie Little's Miss Budweiser team, and his first victory, as you said, Sam, in unlimited.
That's right. Chip Hanauer's back in the chase, but not because Jim Cropfeld's lap 4 speed was 112.360 miles an hour. He ran out of gas in Houston, Texas a year ago. His boat didn't start in Missouri, the first race of the '83 season, but right now he's on his way to the bank as Earl Hall brings Bob Style Squire Shop down here. And here's Bobby Howard, our 4th place boat. Hall's about to put another lap on the Squire.
Here's our leader. Hearing gremlins, no doubt, as we've said many times before. He's coming to the apex of corners number 3 and 4. He strikes it down, and he's going to come down the straightaway, come close to the stands. The checker flag is waiting for Miss Budweiser, Jim Cropfeld. He waves to the crowd. He knows he's got his first victory as an unlimited driver, and what a feeling that must be.
Oh, it's got to be sensational. He's 43 years old, out of Cincinnati, Ohio. He was the 1982 Unlimited Rookie of the Year. Here's our 2nd place boat, the Atlas Van Lines and Chip Hanauer. And you know, from the conversation we had earlier with him here today on ESPN, you know he's got to be happy because his crew worked all night just to get in this race.
How's the final order finish, Sam?
Okay, Jim, our winner will be the Miss Budweiser, driven by Jim Cropfeld. Second place will be the Atlas Van Lines, driven by Chip Hanauer. In third, it'll be the Squire Shop and Earl Hall. Fourth place will go to the Miss Pure Delight and Bobby Howard out of Cape Coral, Florida. 5th place will be the Miss Tostiasti from Madison, Indiana. And in 6th will be the American Speedy Printing Center Special.
Who did not make this final for some mechanical reason. The Tostiasti was the alternate, and he got into the race again.
Well, that's right, Jim. We're going to name that boat Tosti Alternate because every time we have a race here on ESPN, the Tosti makes it into the final heat.
They have limited time to play. Today, it's the Columbia Cup. Hello, everybody. I'm Jim Hendrick along with Sam Cole here at Tri-Cities, Washington. And Sam, a 2-mile race course. The first time we've seen that here. It's usually 2.5.
Yes, it is, Jim. This past winter at the Unlimited Safety Committee, it was voted to try to shorten courses to make race courses safer courses. It's turned out to be a very fast 2-mile course, a world record this week by Atlas Van Lines. The Miss Budweiser right in behind there, and it's going to be a heck of a boat race here today.
No doubt about it. So they'll have to actually win this race in the turns.
That's right. It's going to be a very short straightaway course. The boat that gets in and out of those turns the fastest could possibly be the winner here. It's the 7th race of the 1983 Thunderbolt World Series, and we've had 3 different winners, and you never know what you can expect in boat racing.
And we've got a fast field because the 5 fastest actually, they've run over 122 mile an hour to get to the final flight, and that used to be record speeds.
That's right. The average speed of the top 5 boats was 126 miles an hour here. The top 6 boats in the field came into the Frank Kennedy Tornado, drops down, so we have 5 boats, every one of them over 120 miles an hour.
Those viewing today on ESPN might say, where's Tri-Cities, Washington? Well, there's 3 cities, Pasco, Kennewick, and Richland, and it was here, secretly, during World War II, that a great part of the atomic bomb that ended that war was developed right here outside this trio of towns.
That's right. For years, the race was called the Atomic Cup. It's now the Columbia Cup. Let's see if the Squire Shop can win its 3rd in a row here, or let's see who's going to be the winner here on ESPN.
A lot of action forthcoming, and we'll have the first heat for you in just a moment. We're all set to go here on the Columbia River in Tri-Cities, Washington for Heat 1A, and the 5 fastest boats have qualified this past week are set to go for the first day's action, and to run it down, Sam Cole.
Jim, we're about 1 minute away right now from the start of the race. In this heat, it's the Atlas Van Lines, the defending national champion, driven by Chip Hanauer, owned by Fran Muncie, and the crew chief Jim Harvey in the blue and white boat. The U-12, the Miss Budweiser, our 2nd fastest qualifier, driven by Jim Kropfeld, owned by Bernie Little, and the crew chief is Dave Cully. It's red, white, and gold. The Miss Renault and Milner Irvin, U3, owned by Jerry Shanitz in yellow and black. American Speedy Printing, driven by Jack Schaefer Jr., owned by RB Bob Taylor. It's red and white. And the Squire Shop, U2, driven by Earl Hall, owned by Bob Style. It's red and white. We're 30 seconds away from the start.
As the boats go up there, Budweiser on the inside. We talked to Jim Kropfeld earlier and asked him where he wanted to start in this first heat.
Well, my strategy for the first heat is going to be no strategy. I'll go out and see what the Atlas wants to do. I think he's probably going to want to try a drag race start. The water is very smooth here, and that's to his benefit. And if he does that, I'll have to stay back and just take what's left.
It's Renault on the inside, American Speedy Printing in the 3rd lane. It's the Atlas Van Lines on the outside, Budweiser. And here they go. Down to the number 1. Budweiser was on the outside, as he told us he'll start anywhere and try to pull him. As they go down to corner number 1, it looks like Niagara Falls as they dive in the corner number 1 for the first time today, Sam.
It sure does, Jim, and it's Chip Hanauer in the Atlas Van Lines, and whoa, he takes a big jump out of the water. Hanauer brings it around the turn, but here comes Jim Kropfeld, the Miss Budweiser.
As they come down that chute almost side by side. Look at the Atlas Van Lines starting to pull in lane number 1 right now. As they come down to corner number 3, there goes Budweiser. Oh, he almost flew it right off the edge. He really showed him the short way there as he goes into corner number 3, almost side by side. Keep those cameras tight, guys, because look at the rooster tail as he hangs it on that skid pin right now. That 2nd rooster tail comes up, shows you he's in a turn, and it's Budweiser coming closer to lane 1, giving him a little squeeze, and Kropfeld now brings it down to complete lap number 1. We're going to have to watch that, Jim Hendrick, as Kropfeld goes by. Chip Hanauer got some wards. We're going to have to check with the officials. It was pretty tight as they came around there, but Jim Kropfeld, even though he doesn't have a lot of experience with Unlimited, he showed Chip Hanauer that he can hold a lane, and he takes Atlas Van Lines his way tight. Atlas Van Lines is really bouncing through some of that weight that the Budweiser has left right now, as the Budweiser is in lap number 2. Coming down now, It looks like the Atlas Van Line's Pot Little Water has really dropped back about 10 boat lengths now, and it'll be all Budweiser coming toward corner number 3. Here he is. He's starting to get back up on plane. He slowed way down off of corner number 2, Sam.
Yes, something went wrong in the engine compartment there. He might have taken on some water or something. Hanauer slowed way down, giving Kropfeld about a 5.5-second lead here. The Miss Renault and Milner Urban currently in third. Here's our leader, Jim Kropfeld in the Miss Budweiser. Jack Schaefer in the American Speedy Prince fourth, and the Squire Shop and Earl Hall Smith. But Kropfeld is on his way to a victory here.
The kid with the mustache from Cincinnati, the rookie in Unlimited Hideaway Racing. Actually, he won't have one full year in Unlimited until we hit San Diego, where he started to take over the Budweiser boat last year. He splashes through corners number 1 now on his 3rd lap.
Jim, here's Jack Schaefer in the Bob Taylor's American Speedy Printing Special out of Seattle, Washington, or Houston, Texas, I should say, if it is looking out of Seattle lately. He's in 4th place right now, chasing Milner Urban. Here's our leader, Jim Kropfeld, Miss Budweiser, and Bernie Little. They hold a 200-point lead over the Atlas Van Lines in the national championship race.
And let's let the public on ESPN know how they score. A first place finish in any heat, elimination or final, gets 400 points. Second place goes 300 points. Then 225 for third. And right now, speaking of our 3rd place boat, it's the Miss Renault. And that boat, driven by Milner Urban, owned by Jerry Shanahan out of Detroit, has really come along. And I had a chance, our ESPN cameras went down the pits before the race today, and Sam Cole had a chance to talk to Miller about the way the Renault was improving every race.
Milner, your boats never look better this year as the Columbia River course, or are things just beginning to get dialed in for you?
Sam, we've been working awfully hard. The crew's really worked hard, and we've done a lot of work on the sponsons, and it's calmed it down considerably. We can run a little faster down the straightaway. Not to take anything away from the Columbia Cup course, I think it's super, and I'm really happy to be running on a 2-mile course.
What about the Miss Renault? Back east, the water's a lot rougher and the like, and a lot of times you had to run through that slop, but it seemed to make it through pretty good.
Well, it's a good, strong boat. It's just pretty flighty. It was back east, as you remember. And here, it's a little water smoother, and I think we'll run a little bit better here.
You were out here today. You're the 3rd fastest qualifier for the race. Are you gonna be able to give Chip and Jim a run for it?
Well, we sure hope so. I'm not totally confident that we will still be flying a little bit. We qualified 3rd fastest, and we did that in smooth water. And when race time comes, it's going to be a little rougher than it has been. So we might be still flying, and it might not be quite as quick as it was in qualifying.
Back here on the race course, Miss Budweiser is down to corner number 1, has completed 4 laps right now. About 4.5 seconds back and gaining some ground is the Atlas Van Lines in 2nd. The Miss Renault, and we just heard from the driver, Miller.
And the Atlas has a fire, Jim. Chip Hanauer as he goes down there. Here's Jack Schaefer and the American Speedy Printing Boat. As Hanauer went into that turn, flames came out. He overloaded the engine, and that's what happened. Jack Schaefer, our number 4 boat right now, in Bob Taylor's American Speedy Printing Special out of Houston, Texas. Here's the Atlas, Jim. Chip seems to have everything back in tune there.
I think he overloaded it as he come into corners number 1, the apex, and you just saw a flash fire off them hot stacks, Sam. But he's riding pretty smooth now. Here's our leader coming off of corner number 4. The green flag.
Now look at the checkered flag here, Jim. This is lap number 5 on this one for Kropfeld, so he's going to win another heat aboard Bernie Little's boat. And you know, this is going to be his 14th heat victory of the year. He's only got 1 second place finish all year long, but he's won 14 heats this year, 1 second place, so whenever he goes on the course, he does it. Chip Hanauer, the Atlas Van Lines, will take a 2nd place here finish here this afternoon. Milner Urban in the Renault, who we interviewed earlier, a very fine finish in 3rd. And Jack Schaefer and Bob Taylor's American Speedy Printing Special will take a 4th.
Everybody up here in the press deck kind of looked at me, and I did not see the checker flag come out. In fact, the checker flag on our flag boat inside the course did not show the checker flag to Budweiser, but did to Atlas Van Lines, so he's a little slow. But the Budweiser did not get any penalty, evidently.
Well, Jim, we're hooked up to our officials by our radio system, and Chief Referee Lee Shanahan and Arnie Green were on there, and it was a checkered flag lap for everyone. Now remember, 4 of these boats are going to advance to our final here later in the day, and we're going to hopefully see Earl Hall and the Squire Shop, who failed to finish.
All right, so the order finished with Miss Budweiser 1st, 2nd to the Atlas Van Lines, 3rd to Miss Renault, 4th to American Speedy Printing, and a DNF did not finish to the Squire Shop with driver Earl Hall. More action from the Tri-City, Washington area here on the Columbia River in just a moment. And this will be the first appearance on ESPN of our 2nd flight of boats. Now, if you will, Sam Cole, bring us the starting lineup.
In this heat, Jim, we have the Frank Kenny Toyota, the U6, driven by Ron Snyder, owned by the city of Madison, Indiana. It's a yellow, orange, and white boat. It won the opening event of the Thunderbolt World Series at Lake of the Ozarks, Missouri. Second boat in this heat, the Executone, the U8, driven by George Johnson, owned by Bill Worcester, out of Seattle, Washington. It's a blue and white boat. Number 3, the Miss Rock, KISW, the U40, owned and driven by Fred Leland. It's orange, yellow, and black. The Tempest, the U17, driven by Scott Pierce and owned by Chuck Hickling. It is a persimmon and tan boat. And the Kawaguchi Travel, the U43, driven by Will Muncie, owned by Bill Drews out of Seattle, Washington. It is red and white.
These boats made an earlier appearance here today in their first elimination heat, and it was Frank Kenny Toyota with Ron Snyder winning by a 2-second margin over the Executone driven by George Johnson. The Miss Rock, Fred Leland finished third, Scott Pierce and the Tempest fourth, and the Kawaguchi Special with Will Muncie driving finished overall fifth. And right now the Miss Rock was dead in the water, has just restarted on the infield. We'll have to see if she's going to be legal. Leading the crew up there in our corners number 3 and 4 is the Tempest. Now here's Frank Kenny Toyota swinging way wide. The Tempest will take the middle, and George Johnson, the Executone, will be right on the buoy line. So, and following up in there would be the Kawaguchi Special with the Miss Rock going very slow on the back chute. Here's the gun to start the race, and it's going to be Frank Kenny Toyota with Ron Snyder out in front by about 3 seconds over the Executone with George Johnson and Scott Pierce in the Tempest, owned by Chuck Higley. As they get down the corner number 1 for the first time, Sam.
Jim, Ron Snyder wired that start for the second time today. You know, he won this race here in 1978, and he really knows his way around the Columbia River Oval. Right now, he brings the community-owned boat out of the turn, heads up the backstretch. You know, this boat won our opening event of the Thunderbolt World Series in 1983. That was the Missouri Governor's Cup Regatta. Now he's on his way here. All he has to do is keep it together here, and he'll advance to that winner-take-all final, which we'll see later on in the show.
Well, they have to keep it all together for the city of Madison, Indiana, the owners of the boat. Here's our second place boat. Coming up very fast is George Johnson in the Executone. George is only 2 seconds off the checkered flag base. Wait a minute, Johnson's slowing down. The Executone has lost it in the engine housing. Something's let loose, and now the Tempest goes by, and with Scott Pierce takes over second place. Here comes our leader to complete lap number 1. That's the Frank Kenny Toyota, driven by Ron Snyder. As we told you, the boat owned by the city of Madison, Indiana.
Snyder takes it on that. He's from Piqua, Ohio, Jim. It's a turbocharged Allison boat. Here's Fred Leland and the Miss Rock out of Seattle, Washington. He's our 4th place boat right now. Coming up on him will be Scott Pierce and Chuck Hickling's Tempest, built in Hickling's garage. Lap number 1 for the Frank Kenny Toyota, 108.271. And going for a ride here is Will Muncie in the Kawaguchi Travel. And you know, he's the son of the late, great Bill Muncie, Jim.
And in that conventional type hydro, he's currently riding in 3rd place. Our leader is now down the back chute. Ron Snyder with about a half a straightaway lead over the Tempest, currently running in 2nd place. There's our 3rd place boat. He's riding in 2nd position, but he started late, so he officially is 3rd. Our leader now is at the corner number 3. Hangs it on the skid pin, gets a splash of water, slides sideways a little bit behind the Turbo Allisons, and brings it out off of corner number 4 to come out and complete lap number 3.
And you know, you've got to wonder, Jim, as Snyder goes down through here. Here's our 2nd place finisher. Scott Pierce has got to be wondering back there what's going to happen if something happens to Mr. Snyder. He could sneak into that final heat here today because he's got points as well. Pierce is in this boat. It was built in Chuck Hickling's garage in Seattle, Washington. The second lap of the Frank Kenny Toyota, 109.924. But here's Scott Pierce, our 2nd place boat here today.
Earlier today, Scott Pierce, of course, rejoined our circuit after missing the first 6 races. And earlier today, Sam Cole had a chance to talk to the nice young man.
Scott, you're in action for the first time this year in a boat that's not always the fastest, but certainly has always been in the money.
Yeah, it's done very well in the past. It's always very consistent. It's very well prepared by Chuck. We were hoping he was going to have his new one here for its 83 debut, but it's not quite done, so we have this one back. But I think we'll do fair today.
What about Scott Pierce? How do you size the competition that you're up against?
Well, I'm just hoping I can win the slow heats, and then I'm going to have to run a consolation to go into the final. And I think if I do my job, that I'll be able to pull that one off.
Our leader is Ron Snyder in the Frank Kenny Toyota. Next time he comes around, he'll come around to take the green flag. And he's going for a Sunday ride right now. He will make the final being the fact that he was bumped out of the top 5 and had an average qualifying speed of over 118.6 mile an hour, which about 5 years ago was good enough to win a race. He's been bumped down to what we call the slower classification of boats, and none of them today are really that slow. But by winning this one, he'll assure himself of rounding out, being the 5th boat in the final field. Our top 4 of the 5 boats are automatically seated in the final. This one now, Frank Kenny Toyota Volvo with Ron Steiner from Pickle, Ohio driving, will move up to the final. And the winner of the consolation heat, which will be coming up very, very shortly, well, that winner will also move into the final. We'll have a 6-boat final out of the 12 boats that entered the pits here in Tri-Cities, Washington, a couple of days ago. The green flag is out. Around corner number 4 comes Ron Snyder. 1 more lap to go. A 2-mile oval here, the shortest course they've ever run in Tri-Cities. Miss Rock there currently 3rd place. That's Fred Leland in his cab over. Very, very brightly colored boat. Representing a radio station out of Seattle, Washington, KISW. He comes off the corner number 4, and he'll get no green flag because he's a lap behind everybody because he had a problem at the start of this race. Our leader now is down on corner number 2, coming down the back chute for the final time. And they'll bring that boat in, gas it up, check it out. It'll be ready for the final later today. Our 2nd place boat just coming down here to complete the 4th lap of 5 and take the green flag. There he is, the young man we just had a chance to chat with, Scott Pierce in Chuck Bickley's Tempest.
And you know, the Frank Kenny Toyota boat has not had an engine failure all year long. They've been the most consistent boat on the tour this year. Snyder's lap speed's 102.5 the last time around.
He came close when he won the Governor's Cup in Missouri because he was wiping oil off his goggles. He said if he had 1 more lap to go with that wastegate flopping, he might have had a problem.
He sure did, but right now he's going to bring it across the line as the winner and advance to our winner-take-all finale here in the Columbia Cup. Here's Ron Snyder wiping his gloves, wiping his goggles, I should say, with his gloves. Got oil all over his face, and he gave everyone a wave there at home here on ESPN.
As he takes the checker flag. Right now, our 2nd place boat is halfway down the back chute. That will be Scott Pierce in the Tempest. Our 3rd place boat is not to be seen. He's down the water in the back chute, so 5 boats start. 3 will finish, and we give us the order of finish, if you will, Sam.
Our winner will be the Frank Kenny Toyota Volvo out of Seattle, Washington. Ron Snyder, the driver. 2nd place will go to the Tempest and Scott Pierce, there respectively. Did not finishing will be the Miss Rock and Fred Leland, the Kawaguchi Travel and Will Muncie, and the Executone and George Johnson.
More action from Tri-Cities, Washington, the Columbia Cup for unlimited hydroplanes after this. So the fast flight today on the course and leading the fleet up there is the Miss Budweiser, followed by the Atlas Van Lines, the Miss Renault, the American Speedy Printing, and the Squire Shop. Sam, it looks like the Budweiser wants to take it wide, and he may be a little early.
Well, Jim, as Kropfeld brings it around here to head down to the starting line, he is somewhat early, but the rest of the field's beginning to pull alongside. Kropfeld's got his foot, and I think he's going to be somewhat early. Everybody else is behind him. Here they come down to a flying start, and Jim Kropfeld is either going to be perfect or he's going to make a big error.
It's going to be very close. On our clock, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what the official ruling is, but Kropfeld, the Budweiser's out in front as he goes down to corner number 1, followed by the Atlas Van Lines. And also up from there is the Squire Shop. A big spray of water as Jimmy Kropfeld from Cincinnati hangs it on the hook, goes sideways, now shakes it loose down the back chute, and the Atlas Van Line's up there in that rooster tail somewhere, Sam.
And as he goes up there, Kropfeld's got Bernie Little's Miss Budweiser out on top. They're in the lead in the National High Point chase right now. Kropfeld on the outside. Here he comes. There you see Chip Hanauer moving into the screen now. That's about a 2.5-second lead for Kropfeld. Remember, the length of a rooster tail is about the length of a football field, and that's 1 second in hydroplane racing.
As he goes down now to corner number 3, still awaiting a word from Lee Shinn, our chief referee, who makes the decision whether he jumped the clock. The clock goes from orange to black every second. When it goes completely black, you're supposed to be on the money.
Jim, as Kropfeld went by there, you saw the fire aboard the Miss Renault. A turbocharger let go. There is fire. These boats have onboard fire extinguisher systems. If something gets that bad, Milner Irvin will jump into the water and stop this heat. But right now, the system is working. Here's Chip Hanauer giving chase. I'll keep my eyes up there and see what happens with the Miss Renault.
And right now, the Atlas Van Lines goes into corner number 1 as the Budweiser comes down the back chute off of corner number 2, and it's not been official as if the start is official or not. Waiting for the word from the chief referee, Lee Shinn. Budweiser right now currently out in front of the pack, but if there's an extra penalty lap, Samco, the Atlas Van Lines will take over official first.
Well, you know, Jim, the drivers will find out as they come around this time, possibly, because in hydroplane racing, the starting clock gets moved back half orange and half black. That's the only signal these drivers know if someone jumped the gun. They don't know who did, but they have to find out by looking at the clock if someone did.
Miller has that fire under control on the Miss Renault, and it was probably a turbo fire, but we saw some flames, and he's out of the race. Here's the Budweiser, and Jim Cropdell did look up. And right now, Sam, we're getting official word from the tower. This boat, the Miss Budweiser, is fourth. Not first, because you'll have an extra lap to go. It's the Atlas Van Lines with Chip Hanauer out in front, but Chip, I don't think, is going to take any chances.
No, he's not. He's not giving up any ground whatsoever. Cropdell brings Bernie Little's boat. Here's our new second-place boat. That's the Squire Shop, driven by Earl Hall, owned by Bob Stiles. Yes, he is. He's dancing down that straightaway. The boat getting a lot of lift as it goes down there. Here's our new leader, Chip Hanauer, the Atlas Van Line.
And our second-place boat, the Squire Shop, after having problems the first time out, will now be able to make the final if he can get 300 points here in the second place finish.
That's right, and if everything goes the way it's going right now, it's going to make one heck of a race for our national championship, because should Hanauer win, should Cropdell come through, Hanauer will fall to within 69 points of the Miss Budweiser for the national championship title.
Going into this particular heat, this boat, the Budweiser, was 300 points ahead of the Atlas Van Lines, but this boat will pick up 400 points. The Atlas Van Lines here with Chip Hanauer, and only 169 for a fourth place finish for Budweiser, unless somebody breaks down, he can move up a notch.
Right now, Cropdell out of Cincinnati, Ohio, takes the Miss Budweiser through. He's content there. Here comes Earl Hall in the Squire Shop, doing a heck of a job in this boat. They lost an engine earlier here today. A little bit flighty as he goes down through there. Whoa! And he just took his foot out of it as they go down through there. Here's our leader, Hanauer, the Atlas, up the backstretch.
And our second place boat now comes down towards me. Still flying, Sam. A little bit too flight on the front end. That right spot he comes up, and now he hangs some of in corner number one. He's currently riding in second place. Third place is the American Speedy Footing with Jack Schaefer Jr. And here's our fourth place boat now, Miss Budweiser, as the extra penalty lap is going to hurt that boat, but we'll make the final.
Yes, they will. Four of these boats will move into the final, and with the Miss Renault going down, we're going to have to see if she can come back for the consolation, because Squire Shop would move in there if everything finishes the way it's going right now. But once again, this is racing, and there's a lot of ifs until that checkered flag falls.
Right now it stands the Atlas Van Lines as the lead boat right there, the Blue Blaster with Chip Hanauer from the Seattle area coming for about a lap and three-quarters, and this heat will be history. Second place boat is the Squire Shop, driven by Earl Hall, and third place Jack Schaefer Jr. in RV Bob Taylor's boat, the American Speedy Printing. The Renault is watching the rest of the freight go by down near corner number 3 after having a turbo fire.
You know, I haven't seen the Squire Shop this loose for a long time. Earl Hall doing a lot of flying out there. That's the only boat in the fleet that has a parachute on the back of it. In case the boat were to take off in flight, Hall has a plug, pulls the switch, and a parachute will pop out, enabling the boat to slow down. It is a safety device perfected by the Squire Shop's crew chief, Jerry Zubik.
They hope it's perfected, Sam. They've never had to use it. Let's hope they do not. Here's your lead boat right now to take the checker flag. Atlas Van Lines comes down with Chip Hanauer, and he will be the winner with 400 points. And he flies a little loose, Sam, as our ESPN camera gets real close.
He sure does. Chip Hanauer picks up the win. Earl Hall is going to take a second place in the Squire Shop. Jack Schaefer Jr. and the American Speedy Printing will take third. And in fourth, it'll be the Miss Budweiser. All four of these boats will move into that winner take-off finale here later this afternoon. But I think the big story is going to be the national championship race. Here's Earl Hall, our second place finisher in this heat. He'll move into that final. The national championship race, as I was saying, Miss Budweiser will now have 6,069 points compared to 6,000 points in the Atlas Van Lines, and we could have a new national high point leader later this afternoon, or the Miss Budweiser could extend their margin over everyone else. Here's Jack Schaefer, the third place boat, in Bob Taylor's beautiful American Speedy Printing Special out of Houston, Texas.
And of course, did not finish, goes to the Miss Renault, the U3, driver Miller with Jerry Shana's boat, a fourth place finisher now after getting the penalty lap with Jim Cropdell and Miss Budweiser, a fraction of a second too soon. It's the winner of this, goes on to the final for the big money and, of course, the prestige. Sam, the lineup.
Okay, Jim, the winner of this heat goes into our final. Fred Leland has just hooked and spun the Miss Rock out in the middle of the course. So we'll have three competitors here in this race. They'll be the Executone. That's the U8, driven by George Johnson. The Tempest, the U17, driven by Chuck Hickling. And the Will Muncie of the U43 Kawaguchi Travel. 3 boats coming around for the start. We're 30 seconds away. Everyone's going to be just about on the money.
I think you've had Scott Pierce driving Chuck English, but I don't think Chuck's returned to the driver's seat, has he?
No, he hasn't. Scott Pierce doing a heck of a job there. You know, it's the second heat today that Fred Leland has put the fire out in his boat, so we'll see what happens there. Right now
the Tempest comes right in front. Now he wants lane number 1. And he's squeezing a little bit the executive as they come down. It's 7 seconds. Tempest may be early. I've got 5 seconds. He may jump the clock and be disqualified for an extra penalty lap, and he does. It'll be the executive to finish. To start out, this boat that you're looking at right now, the Tempest, did what the Budweiser did earlier today. He jumped the clock. He's third. He is not first, Sam.
Well, Scott Pierce had it just about there. He was about a boat length away, but like I said earlier today, you can be the hero or you can be the goat there. And he just hooked it out, Jim. Pierce hooked the Tempest down in that turn, went sideways. Let's see what happens. He's going slow. Now George Johnson coming up on the outside.
He picked it up. He was really close to the start, but we've got him as jumping the clock, which means he'll get an extra penalty lap. First place will be taken over now by the executive with George Johnson. And this rock down here in our starting line is just started out and is now an official starter. He just went by our screen left to right. He hooked at the beginning. This boat is currently riding in 3rd place. Actually 4th, because the Rock did make an official start now. This boat is now 4th place instead of 1st.
That's right, as they go in there, Pierce and the Tempest on the inside. Johnson, you should see him. There he comes. George Johnson in the executive zone on the outside to come down here. It looks like he could challenge for the lead as they head here for the starting line at the end of lap number 1.
George Johnson is the blue boat on the left side of your screen. Now takes over and passes the Tempest, but he is the official starter anyway. He's the official first place because he was on time at the start. So George Johnson, the executive, Bill Booster's boat, out of Seattle, can maintain this lead. Has just completed lap number 1. If he can go that way for 4 more laps, Sam, he'll move in and fill out the final field of 6 starters.
Hey, 95 miles an hour on that lap for our lead boat. Pierce on the inside, he's right now running in 4th position. Johnson on the outside, he's our leader as they go up the backstretch. Johnson has a lot more horsepower in that executive zone boat, and you should see him strengthen his lead here right now. Yes, he is. He's pulling away about a second and a half ahead of the Tempest there. As you see him there, about 200 to 300 yards as George Johnson has the lead in the beautiful blue and white executive zone hull.
Our final field of Atlas Van Lines, Miss Budweiser, the Squire Shop, Frank Kenny Toyota, and American Speedy Printing. Those 5 boats are in the final, and this boat here, the winner, if this boat can maintain the lead, the executive, he would be the 6th in the final field of 6 for all the marbles on our next seat of action here on ESPN. George Johnson.
And as he does this, Jim, Johnson comes out wide there. Pierce is keeping the inside lane, cutting in there. He forced Johnson to go wide.
Two laps down. This lap is only lap number 1 for the Tempest. He's penalized an extra lap. So he's only finishing his first official lap while this boat is on lap number 3. That's executive George Johnson down in corner number 1. Second place right now is, I believe, the Kawaguchi Special. Third is the Miss Rock, who got him right. He just passed the Kawaguchi, so now he takes over officially second place.
Here you see Leland in a boat that he built. Ed Carrollson in Seattle built it. Fred Leland owns it, drives the truck, works on the engines, and does everything. They call him the last of the independents in hydroplane racing.
In our final field, we mentioned the Squire Shop Special. That campus won it twice in a row. Last 2 years here, the Squire Shop team has been the winner. Earl Hall, handling the boat for the very first time, was asked by Sam Cole before today's race. He thought that he, the rookie, could make it 3 in a row for Squire Shop.
Earl, if anybody's got it riding on their shoulders today, it's got to be you. Your boat's won here 2 years in a row with 2 different drivers. Bob Stiles seems pretty content that it's going to be 3 in a row.
Well, I hope that I can offer Bob his 3 in a row for 83. But, you know, in the past years, there have been a lot of circumstances that have led up to the victory, and everybody here is running real strong this weekend, so it just remains to be seen.
What about you, Earl? You went back east, came back with a lot of good luck. 3rd place in the National High Point standings right now. Everything the Squire Shop has been a learning experience. You as a rookie, are you ready to put your foot in it today?
Well, I think so. You know, we're glad to get out here and get some good water. And in the past, out on the east, we've almost been fighting the rivers as much as we've been fighting the other boats. So I think you'll see everybody speeds up considerably out here, and ours included.
You talked about the breaks of racing a moment ago and alluded to that fact. That's what it's all about, isn't it? Who's there when the checkered flag falls?
Well, true, but the same thing could happen to us that happens to someone else attrition-wise. And, you know, last year with the untimely accident of the Budweiser, they were out of the race in the final. And you know, I understand Atlas was having some problems, but nevertheless, you know, we're just as susceptible to problems as they are, so we just have to wait and see what happens.
3/4 of a lap to go for this boat, the Executive, with George Johnson of the greater Seattle, Washington area. As he comes down the back chute, the checker flag is waiting, and this boat, the Executive, owned by Bill Wooster and a group out of Seattle, will then join the final field of the Atlas Van Lines, the Miss Budweiser, the Squire Shop, Frank Kenny Toyota, and American Speedy Printing.
You know, Jim, as you watch Fred Leland go through here, he's our second place boat in this heat right now. And it's amazing. Johnson is running 95-mile-an-hour laps. Leland's running laps of 105 miles an hour. If he hadn't had mechanical difficulties before the start of the heat, who knows what would have happened, because right now you see the Miss Rock and Fred Leland blister up that backstretch. He's running laps at about 10 miles an hour faster than the Executone, which is going to be our winner.
And the checker flag is out for George Johnson, and he takes it to enter the final field by winning this for consolation. And you can see that right hand snap up as he looks up at Lee Shannon to say, I got it, and I'll make the final field. So the official order of finish, Sam, is not really that important, but here comes our second place boat. That'll be the Miss Rock, as Fred Leland is running, as you said, 105-mile-an-hour laps, and is running faster than the leader, but got a late start because of engine problems.
And the big wave there, Fred Leland, Seattle, Washington, the Miss Rock, the KISW. He'll take second place. Third place will go to Scott Pierce aboard Chuck Hickley's Tempest. And in fourth, it'll be the Kawaguchi Travel and Will Muncie.
And our final field will be the Atlas Van Lines, Miss Budweiser, Squire Shop, Frank Kenny Toyota, American Speedy Printing, and the Executone. And we'll be back with that run for the money, the final heat, the championship heat of the...
The Atlas Van Lines, the U1, blue and white, driven by Chip Hanauer from Seattle, Washington. The U12, the Miss Budweiser, and Jim Crockfeld out of Cincinnati, Ohio. The U7, American Speedy Printing, and Jack Schaefer Jr. from Irvine, California. The U2, the Squire Shop, and Earl Hall from Hampton, Virginia. The U8, the Executone, and George Johnson. And not there at the start will be the Frank Kenny Toyota and Ron Snyder, who returned to the pits with engine difficulties.
And the alternate, the Tempest, came out, and the Tempest has now gone back to the pits. We're going to have a 5-boat final as the American Speedy Printing leads them up to corner number 3. The Budweiser looks like about lane 2, Atlas Van Lines lane 3. Then Squire in the 4th slot, and the Executone on the far outside. As they come up that way, that's the Tempest, which is just about having some problems. It's going to head back to the pits. And here they come now. There is Jack Schaefer Jr. on the inside. He's just about 4 seconds away from the start. He'll be right out of the money, and Atlas will be on his tail. And up in the middle of the spray between those two boats, you can't see him, is the Budweiser as they go down towards corner number 1, Sam.
It's 1, 2, 3. Jack Schaefer on the inside of the American Speedy Printing boat. Outside, Chip Hanauer in the Atlas Van Lines. And in that middle there, Jim Crockfeld and Miss Budweiser. As they come out of there, Schaefer in the American Speedy on the inside. Chip Hanauer split the Atlas Van Lines on top by about a boat length, Jim.
And the Budweiser spun off. The Budweiser spun out. It is down in the water very slowly. The Atlas Van Lines is taking the lead now and opened up about a 5-boat length lead over the American Speedy Printing. Little light on the front end, and there's the difference. The boat on your left is the Atlas Van Lines with Chip Water coming up over the sponsons, and it'll be a wounded deer time for the American Speedy Printing. Let's see if Jack Schaefer, yes sir, here comes Jack Schaefer Jr. in the American Speedy Printing, and he's on his way to the bank, and he can maintain down that back chute in smooth water.
39-year-old Jack Schaefer Jr. from Irvine, California, and RV Bob Taylor's American Speedy Printing Special. Heading up that back stretch here, it's the 3rd race for this team. 3rd place in Madison, Indiana. 2nd place in the Gold Cup race. And on their way to a 1st place finish here in the Columbia Cup, Schaefer brings it through the turn and heads it down. The Miss Budweiser is going. Schaefer's got about a half a lap lead right now, but here comes Jack Schaefer in the lead in the American Speedy Printing Special.
Right now, he wants to keep it all together in the engine housing. He knows he's past the Atlas Van Lines. Right now, Jack Schaefer probably thinking, there's the Budweiser. I'll tell you where the Budweiser is. About 28 seconds back now, just coming in. There's your number 2 boat, Jim Crockfeld and the Budweiser. In the corner number 3, as Jack Schaefer now has about the length, I should say, of her straightaway lead.
There's Chip Hanauer disabled the Atlas. Here comes Crockfeld around on the outside. Oh, Jim, what a story this would be. Jack Schaefer, a brand new driver's suit today with the Texas flag on one sleeve, the American flag on the other sleeve. Lap 2 here, his speed 112.324 miles an hour. Schaefer heading up that backstretch en route to what could be his first win as an unlimited driver, and a very dejected Chip Hanauer, the Atlas van line, going very, very slowly down the straightaway here. Something wrong in the engine department here today.
And he'll have to pull the infield. That's exactly what he's going to do. Get no points. That'll put the Budweiser, if he maintains second place, at least 369 points ahead of the Atlas van lines in national rankings. And if he can manage to catch this boat, the lead boat, the American Speedy Printing, with Jack Schaefer, he can pick up another 100 points and win this. Schaefer looking over his shoulder. Where's Jim Crossville? Where's everybody else? He looks up here. His speed on lap 3, 111.6. He's dropped off a bit. Well, let's see what Crossville does. Schaefer, you know, driving this one, he drove it when it was brand new 3 years ago, has the Miss Tri-Cities, then it was the Miss Thousand Trail. Here's Jim Crossville to Miss Budweiser. Schaefer back here on a course that he always called his home when he drove for Kenny Thompson here. Okay, it's about a half a lap to beat for the American Speedy Printing over the Budweiser. And we have a lap and a half to go in this race's history. Jack Schaefer is looking over his left shoulder. He knows where the Budweiser is now. And here's our executone riding in third place.
That's right. That time, Jim Crossville picked up 6.5 seconds on Schaefer. Crossville's speed 122.241. Schaefer 111.6. He could be saving equipment. He knows nobody's going to push him right now. Let's see what he does. He sets it up, cranks it around the apex in turn 3, and he's going to bring it down here to complete lap number 4, and that's when the green flag drops.
It's going to be one more lap to go as the green flag is out for the American Speedy Printing Team, owned by RV Bob Taylor out of Houston, Texas. And he gives a signal. He knows it's one more lap to go. And now it's only about an 11-second difference as the Budweiser has 11-second deficit to make up with one more lap to go. And I don't think he's going to be able to do it if the American Speedy Printing keeps it together in the engine housing.
Anything can happen in boat racing. Crossville clipped another 5 seconds off that lead there. 121.212. Schaefer 112.150. Schaefer going up the backstretch to come around for the checkered flag, which would be his first win. RV Bob Taylor's first win, and here's George Johnson, the executone. And he gets the green flag right now.
And he gets the green flag with one more lap to go as the Squire Shop and the Tempest are out, and also the Atlas van lines, and now less than a half a lap to go for the American Speedy Printing Team, owned by RV Bob Taylor from Houston, Texas. Born out of Houston, Texas, the driver, Jack Schaefer Jr., now residing, selling airplanes down in Southern California. And as he comes off the apex of corners number 3 and 4, the checker flag is waiting for the first time in Jack Schaefer Jr.'s career, and the first time for RV Bob Taylor, this team's win. They're coming down the 10th and checker flag, and it's all over. The winner of this race here in Tri-Cities is Jack Schaefer Jr. and the American Speedy Printing Team.
And second place will go to Jim Crossville and Bernie Little's Miss Budweiser, the executone and George Johnson in third, and the Atlas van lines and Chip Hanauer fourth. Earl Hall and Squire Shop take fifth.
Hendrick, along with Dick Crippen, and welcome to the fastest race boats in the world that'll perform here in the season opener, Key Biscayne, Miami, Florida, at the 1 2/3 Saltwater Oval at Miami's Marine Stadium. And Dick, this is anybody's battle.
Yes, it certainly is, Jim. And as a matter of fact, you can hear the roar of one of the turbines behind us now as they get ready to race today. This is going to be a course that equalizes things out. The turns are sharp enough that the turbines don't have good acceleration coming out. The pistons may have an advantage there, but the turbines have long enough straightaways that they can get their speeds up. We have to watch Jimmy Kropfeld, of course, in the Miss Budweiser. In the Miller High Life entry, Chip Hanauer is going to be out there. He got the Gold Cup last year. Well, Kropfeld was the national champion. It's anybody's race, and don't forget the new boats that are in. It's going to be exciting.
Mr. Pringles with Scott Pierce, of course, showing well. And the Budweiser laid down the gauntlet. He made the challenge when he said, hey, take a look at my speed, and set a new course record a couple of days ago and qualifying on this small course at 1 per hour. And my friends, that's moving. Now let's quickly go down to the pit area and Mark Spencer. Mark?
Jim, the story down here in the pits is not who's in the race, but who's not in the race. Six-time Gold Cup winner Chip Hanauer has yet to qualify, and there's only 10 minutes left in the qualifying session. As you can see, the crew is scrambling, trying to find the answer to their problems. Chip has spent most of the weekend on the end of a tow rope. All he needs to do is run 95 miles an hour. The boat is obviously capable of speeds in excess of 130. They've got to solve the problems. Will he make it? We'll find out.
One man who doesn't have to worry about his boat qualifying is Bernie Little, the owner of the fastest boat this weekend. 1987 defending champion, the Miss Budweiser.
This man last year celebrated his 25th anniversary of the sport, starting number 26, Bernie Little. It doesn't get any easier.
No, Jim, it gets a little harder, I think. We did set a new course record here with Miss Budweiser and on our first day of qualifying, so we're real happy, and we hope to put on a very good event for our many fans here in Miami.
The turbine competition is picking up, expanding. More and more turbines, faster speeds.
Yeah, you just seen another one run 131 mile an hour out there testing, and they're all up in the 125, 35 mile an hour range. It's going to be the most competitive year that the Miss Budweiser's in.
The crews are ready, the drivers are anxious. We're about to start the season, Dick Griffin.
Right, and watch out for turn number 1, Jim, because all the boats are going to be aiming to get on the inside lane there. It's going to be a tight one today.
We'll be back with the starting lineups for Heat 1A and 1B and all the action after this timeout. An owner, and Dick Crippen is with him.
Well, there's a lot of sayings about what happened to old boat racers, but I'll tell you, this guy's back in it again. Jim McCormick, I'll tell you, you've got a Gold Cup to your credit. You've got a lot of racing wins. You've got a lot of races, period, and here you are back in it.
Dick, reason I'm back in it, I knew I was missing something in my life for a long time, and last year I figured out what it was. I needed to be back in boat racing.
What do you look to get out of the boat in the first race of the season? And you know it's salt water. That's number 1.
Well, the first thing we want to do is get qualified, which we feel like we'll do right after lunch when the course opens. We want to finish. We want to put a good show on for our sponsor, Pocket Space Savers Plus. They're with us here in Miami, and they're going to be with us again in Detroit. And who knows what will happen.
And you never know, on this, the smallest course that the racers will race on all year. It's only 1 2/3 miles. And today, Scott Pierce has a brand new boat to be tested. Dick Griffin?
It's been a long time coming for Scott Pierce. He's literally worked his way up in equipment, and Scott, now you got what has got to be considered a premier rig.
Well, we believe so, Dick. Procter & Gamble and Jiff and Pringles have been tiptoeing in the sport, and they've decided to step up their participation immensely. So, therefore, we've been able to assemble, I feel, the finest team in the sport and put together this boat over the winter. It's the only new turbine boat on the circuit, has the latest aerodynamic design on the circuit, and I think we're going to be a force to be reckoned with.
One of the things that you were pointing out to me earlier that I thought was so interesting was the cockpit. It's a little bit different than the other cockpits we're seeing.
Well, we have a two-place F-16, a dual-seat F-16 canopy, and the other fellows are running a single-seat F-16 canopy. Therefore, I'm a lot larger than the rest of the drivers. I know it doesn't look that way on TV, but it's true. And so I have actually more headroom than they have in their single seats with the two-seat, and it's accommodated my large frame. Danny and the crew built the cockpit out of plywood, installed all the gauges, all the restraints, molded seats and everything. Even turned me upside down in it and to make sure I could get out, and we got the dimensions for the door, the escape hatch on the bottom, and all that work was completed before we ever laid a piece of aluminum out for the real boat.
The 8 boats that have qualified have drawn for positions, and this is the way they drew in Heat 1A. 2 turbines and 2 reciprocals, starting with a rookie driver, Steve David, who checked in the Pocket Savers Plus at 102.4. The veteran, Ron Snyder, in the whole set Miss Madison, 108.2. The fastest qualifier in this group was the Mr. Pringles with Scott Pierce at 126.6, and the Substance Spirit with Mike Hansen at 125 plus. We're under the 1 minute gun. They're coming down for the start. Dick Cribbin.
It's a flying start, Jim, and this is the boat we're going to have to watch closely. Mr. Pringles looks like he's going to hit it right on the line. He does. Scott Pierce coming down to that ever-critical first turn. He's going to be wide as he comes into the turn.
And he's got plenty of room because there's no competition. The rest are way behind. In fact, Scotty himself was not too swift. He was about 12 seconds late to start, but everybody else was behind him.
And this is one of the reasons why he's not having much competition out here. The other turbine boat that was entered into it is dead in the water right now. That's Mike Hansen aboard the Sutphin Special. Meanwhile, Pringles continues just easily on the course.
He's doing about 116 mile an hour lap at this 1 2/3 saltwater course here in Miami. He's taking the smooth way around, coming close to the stands. And of course, this is the baptism of fire for this particular boat, brand new.
It certainly is, and Scotty Pierce has a lot of confidence in his crew to take the boat and put it through a lap like this right off the bat, but you can see why. The boat is holding on the water. It's not dancing around. It's not getting loose out there. He's got to feel very good about the even ride. But talk about boats running well. Here's another boat that's hanging right in there, Jim.
And this is a rookie. His first time in an unlimited competition. It's Steve David. Now, I'll tell you this. The first lap with sticky water, now that they've chopped it up a little bit, the speeds might increase. And here's the veteran. He's having problems. This is the oldest boat on the fleet. At one time was the Winningest Hall, when it was the Pan Pac, when it was the Atlas Van Lines. And this team, Miss Madison, is supported by the town of 13,000 plus people who take collections. Today, they're not running very well. At this particular time, they're waiting for a brand new boat. And before this year is over, we'll see a new cab over for this team.
And it'll be an exciting moment when they debut that one, and they hope that it'll run as well as this boat is running right now. Mr. Pringles, Scott Pierce, just a beautiful ride. Even though the water has roughed up a little bit, he's holding very low on the water. Look underneath that tunnel, and you can see there's very little light under there. He's really steady.
123 mile an hour, my man. He's gone from 117 the first lap to 123 plus in the second lap. So I think he thinks, well, hey, I've got not too much competition. I better test it now.
And he is testing it and getting a very good result. Scotty Pierce in the Mr. Pringles, the boat that had to be favored coming into this race just because of its qualifying speed. Then the other turbine boat, the Sutphin Special, went out of it and was not competing right off the start line. So Scotty Pierce has had clear water all the way.
And here's the rookie doing a fine job in his first time out in Unlimited. That's Steve David, who qualified at 102.4, so it's down to a two-boat race, really, that Miss Madison is running. Ron Snyder's smart enough now just to get enough points to finish, because you get 400 points for a first place, 300 points for second, and 225 points for third. And then they take, after 1A, 1B, 2A, and B are done, the five most points, the five boats with the most points will get in the final, and then winner take all.
And Jim, we got to feel good about this black boat out here now, because the Gold Cup winner of years back, Jim McCormick, is of course the man campaigning the boat, but he had a lot of help from a couple of other Gold Cup winners and a couple of other guys. Here he comes for the checkered flag, Scott Pierce, Mr. Pringles. He's got to feel awfully good at this point.
Only about 9 square inches of each spots and only half the prop ride that water. Thus, they call them hydroplanes. They literally fly across the water.
And here's the point standings right now after Heat 1A. Mr. Pringles at 400, Pocket Savers Plus at 300, and Wholesome Miss Madison at 225. Let's go down now and catch an interview with Scott Pierce.
Scott Pierce, your first win in a new boat. How did the boat handle?
It handled real good. Unbeknownst to what we've experienced here all week, we had a little bleed band problem. We had a little driver problem there at the start, so we got some work to do in the driver and the bleed band, and we'll get the thing running.
Did I hear some compression stalls?
Yes, for the first time this week. It's not because of the salt, though. I know why, to tell the crew what's happening.
First win, first time out. Is this an omen of things to come?
I hope so. You know, when I won here in '85, I screwed up the first heat, and I've come back and done it again. So maybe we can go on and make a better day out of the rest of it.
Temperatures in the 90s, and now in between heats, the fans enjoy the cool waters of Key Biscayne here in Miami, Florida. We'll be back with more of the 18th annual Budweiser Regatta.
First of all, we have Chip Hanauer in the Miller High Life. He qualified at 132.977. Right next to him, Miss Budweiser, Jimmy Kropfeld, who set a qualifying record at 136.11. Oh boy, Oberto, George Woods Jr. in at 115.549 miles per hour. And the Garrett Jackpot Food Boat, Jerry Hopp, the driver. Jim?
We're with the Executive Vice President of Household Finance. Name is Glenn Sanders. And Glenn, your company has gone a long way now in motorsports. You seem to be increasing your investments.
Yes, we are. We were very pleased with the exposure we got last year. Our market surveys indicated that our customers, our employees, and our marketplace enjoyed this kind of sports, and so we've increased our participation. In addition, we're involved with auto racing nationwide and the boating. It'll be a great season for us.
In Heat 1B, one of the men to watch, of course, the defending champion Jim Cropfeld. Before he took to the water, Mark Spencer had a few words with him. Mark?
Jim, any changes to the boat during the off-season?
We didn't make a lot of changes. We made a couple minor hull changes just to make the boat a little more stable and a little safer. The big changes that we made this year came in the engine department, the propeller department, and some gears. We had some new gears made for the gearbox, and we're trying different ratios. And Miss Budweiser started the enclosed capsule or the safety cockpit back in '85, and we were the first team to have it. And of course, I proved last year that with 2 flips and no injuries whatsoever. And Steve Reynolds has had a couple flips. And of course, Steve had some serious injuries in his last one, but it did save his life. And I feel really confident now driving the boat. I wouldn't want to drive a boat sitting out in the open again.
That was Jim Cropfeld, defending world champion and winner of this race last year. They're starting now at 3 boats, heading toward the starting line. Miller highlights Chip Hanauer. His boat would not start as they come toward you, Dick.
All right, down in turn number 1, it is going to be Old Boy Alberto, the white boat on the inside, the red boat on the outside. Miss Budweiser into turn number 2. Now it's an interesting race because remember, Old Boy Alberto, you see right there, a reciprocal engine. The turbine-powered Miss Budweiser on the outside.
The boat close to the street is the Old Boy Alberto, powered by P-51 Merlin engines used in World War II. The red boat, the Miss Budweiser, giving chase on his hip, is powered by Lycoming turbine engines in helicopters. So they're all aircraft powered. It depends on what kind.
And a reminder to everybody watching that the boat on the outside will actually travel further than the boat on the inside. So right now, Jimmy Cropfeld is trying to catch up and hold even with the inside boat. If he gets the advantage of him in 1 turn, it's enough to take over the lead.
As they come down to complete lap number 1 of 5, it is 120.111 miles per hour for just about both boats. They're that close.
It's a tremendous race of neck and neck again as they come out of turn number 2. And we might mention also there are no escape routes in turns 1 and 2 here in the Miami Marine Stadium. So these drivers really have to be cognizant of where they are. And there goes the Miss Budweiser. Jimmy Cropfeld, 3-time world champion, has just taken a lead on the backstretch.
He just came off like a shot right off that exit pit. And here's the jackpot with Jerry Hopp. This boat is much improved over last year, but overmatched in this race. He's going to do his job, have a little fun, and hope to get a break.
If there's a surprise in the race, it's the inside boat on your screen right now, the white boat, the Old Boy Alberto. The leader now, Jimmy Cropfeld, very comfortable in that turbine-powered boat, and you can see it kind of dances across the rough of the water there, but he's still got perfect control of the boat. Old Boy Alberto second, Jerry Hopp now riding in third.
George Woods will not give up. This is the fastest reciprocal. This boat was winning many, many races years ago under different sponsorships, but today, well, they have their work cut out for them against the turbines.
Boy, talk about ultra-modern and ultra-high-tech, and there you see it on your screen coming right at you. Jimmy Cropfeld, he has got himself the state-of-the-art boat in the Miss Budweiser. A beautiful run for this boat. He had thought he would be challenged all day long by Chip Hanauer, but Chip Hanauer has consistently had bad luck in Miami, and it looks like it's going to continue to pursue him.
I'll tell you one thing. Before this year is over, those 2 guys, Cropfeld and Hanauer, will tie up in many, many heat battles.
Boy, you can bet on that right at this point, but look at the ride of this boat. Chip Hanauer has a great seat for watching how the Miss Budweiser is running now. He'd prefer to see it out there alongside him and at least in a battle, but right now he can sure study how this goes. Here's the checkered flag and the winner of Heat 1B, Jim Cropfeld, in the Miss Budweiser.
111.021 as Bernie Little accepts congratulations from Mike Jones, President of the American Powerboat Association.
No better way to start the season than with a win, and there it is. Miss Budweiser with 400 points. Old Boy Alberto in at second place, and here's your third place boat that you see on the screen, the jackpot, Jerry Hopp. The defending champion of this race, Jimmy Cropfeld, now back to the pit area. Let's go down to Mark Spencer for the interview.
Jim Cropfeld, Chip Hanauer was a no-show in the first heat. Did that change your strategy any?
No, it didn't change a thing. It just gave me probably a little easier ride than I thought I would have, but George Wood surprised me, Old Boy Alberto. He was really running good. And I had a couple of hard laps there with George, and before I finally got around him, I don't know what happened. I saw him kind of hook it down there one turn, and I got to jump on him then and got ahead of him. After that, it was all over with.
Well, it's not all over with. We have much more action to go in the American Hydroplane Series.
A tradition of horsepower. Racing fans, this bud's for you.
Key Biscayne Marine Stadium. Jim Hendrick, Dick Crippen, and Mark Spencer with you for all the action of the 18th Annual Budweiser Regatta on this mile and 2/3 saltwater course. Here's the starting lineups for Heat 2A. Jim Kropfeld, winner of his first time out, has 400 points in Bernie Little's Miss Budweiser. George Woods, driving Jim Harvey's Old Boy Alberto with 300 points. Pocket Savers Plus, the rookie, Steve David with 225 points going into this event. And the Garrett Jackpot Foods at 169 for fourth place finish. As they come off from exit number 4, down to the starting line for the start of Heat 2A, Dick Crippen.
All right, and it's lane number 2 with the lead right now. That's George Woods and Oh Boy Alberto. It's going to be a rematch of Heat 1B because the Budweiser is on the outside. But this time, going into turn number 1, Oh Boy Alberto with a clear shot takes it down. It is Budweiser playing catch-up. There's the red boat as he passes on your screen. A beautiful run. Third place now, the Pocket Savers Plus, Stephen David, the rookie from the Miami area. There you can see the battle as it shapes up once again, Jim.
As they come down the back chute, on the left, Miss Budweiser, the Turbine, and takes a slight, well, about a boat and a half length lead now as he goes down to corner number 3. Hanging on the inside, still in his rooster tail tracks, is the Oh Boy Alberto. And look at the Budweiser hanging on the hook and come around that turn.
Good time to point out to everybody that under the rules of the Racing for Unlimited Hydroplanes, the Miss Budweiser must have at least 3 boat lengths between himself and the second place boat before he can cut in. That's for protection against that powerful rooster tail. There you can see the Pocket Savers on the outside, and on the inside it is Jerry Hop. Jerry Hop getting a little bit better run out of his boat than he did the last time around.
And we have a battle there for third place. A lot of times you're going to see good racing for second and third.
No battle for second this time around. Oh boy, Alberto. George Woods, a former Rookie of the Year, out there in second place all alone, as the leader is all alone, the Miss Budweiser. A good challenge, though, because the Budweiser is still staying to the outside of the course.
Lots of times when they get in these situations, they would like in the final heat to have lane 1 if they can get it. But they want to know how the boat is going to react in lane 3 and 4, the characteristics of the turn. And here comes your winner of Heat 2A, and he has a perfect day so far with 2 victories in elimination heats. Jim Kropfeld from Cincinnati with a little, you can hear a little popping in that engine there. What they call a compressor stall, but he finishes.
And he gets another 400 points. Oh boy, Alberto takes second place. Pocket Savers Plus taking third. And Jackpot rounds out the field. There you see him coming in, taking fourth place. Now the question is, will Chip Hanauer be back out? Let's go to Mark Spencer.
Chip Hanauer, a no-show in 1B. What's wrong?
Something wrong with the start fuel system. There's a system that gets the fuel primed so they can ignite. And for some reason, just like a pilot light in a furnace, it wouldn't light.
How will you solve the problem?
Well, right now they're dissecting it, trying to look at that system and see where it failed, if it's a pump or the switch or whatever it was, and they should know by the time I get back there.
The decision to run the old boat, was it a hard one for you?
Well, not really. We got into a situation where it was the only boat that I really knew well. The new boat isn't quite done yet, and I didn't want to go with something that I wasn't sure of, so I had to go with an old friend that works well. It's the hardest thing a race driver has to do, I think, you know. And we're running okay, but we've just had so many problems, not only this year in Miami, but every year it's been the same story for us down here. And it's a good thing I don't live in this town because I think the roof had fallen on me.
He's still looking for his first point in 3 years on this particular course. That's his luck. We'll be back with more action from Miami, Florida Marine Stadium in just a moment.
Well, Ron Snyder had a little bit of a surprise when he entered the Miami pits because, Ron, you were expecting a brand new boat, and here's the boat that you thought was going to be retired.
Yeah, what a surprise. You know, we called it Mrs. Madison our last race last year because we knew we were going to retire, and here I am back in it again. You just can't separate this good marriage, I guess.
It is a good marriage. You've had a lot of good fortune in this boat, but I know you look forward to the new one, too.
Oh, definitely. You know, the whole city of Madison, 13,000 people got together and decided, hey, this poor guy, he's getting up in years, so we need to get him an easy ride. So, yeah, I can't wait till that new boat hits the circuit.
All right, you talk about a volunteer team, and a lot of people are not aware of the story of the Miss Madison and how it all came out.
Well, you know, it's the 13,000 residents of Madison. They own this boat. There's no city tax dollars or nothing involved in this thing. They've had fundraising down there over the years to go boat racing. And the crew, they're not paid. All we get is our expenses coming down here and having fun, if you can call this having fun now, in this Miami heat.
Now we're set to go for the final elimination heat of the Miller High Life Chip Hand Hour. Not being able to answer the gun again. Likewise, the turbine 7th Spirit is out. Leaves it up to one turbine, Mr. Pringles, and the whole set, Miss Madison, a reciprocal Allison turbo.
And here they come down now to take the start, and it's a flying start again for Heat 2B. It's going to be a battle with the Miss Madison on the inside. On the outside, it is Mr. Pringles, the turbine-powered boat. And you can see, even with good water, that the Hulset Miss Madison's bouncing around just a little bit out there. Again, Mr. Pringles, Scott Pierce, in the lead now, riding the outside lane. He is having a very good and even ride, and again, he is still feeling this boat out.
This could be a break for the whole set Miss Madison, even though they're down to 2 boats, because Ron's boat was not working very well the first time out. They've been having their first race problems. Now all he has to do is keep them together, finish second out of the 2 boats, and pick up 300 important points to make the final.
You can see the distance there between the leader and the second place boat. No competition really at all for the turbine-powered boat, but of course we bear in mind constantly this is salt water, and traditionally a lot of the turbines have had a lot of problems in Miami because of the salt in the air. There is such little room between the spinning fan blades in the turbine engine that the salt will cake up on it and jam those blades, and they will not turn. So maybe that's part of the problem with the Miller High Life, I don't know, but certainly at this point Mr. Pringles isn't having that problem.
You can notice that this turbine is a cab-over design. The driver is encapsulated with an F-16 fighter cockpit. He has roll bars in there, unlike this turbine who has no canopy. But next year, 89, all boats, new and used, must have that type of capsule right there. This driver, of course, said one time, Ron Snyder, I'll quit. I'll never drive a cab over. I'll never be encapsulated. Now he's changing his mind.
That's right. We saw a picture just a few moments ago of that new Miss Madison, and it'll be a cab over, and it will be also a canopy boat.
The famous late Bill Muncie once said when he was driving this particular boat, and he was winning with this boat as the Atlas Van Lines, as we're looking at it. This was the Atlas Van Lines. I asked Bill, would you ever go in a cab over? He says, are you kidding me? I'll never go in the front of that boat. You're the first one to an accident. What did he do? He won money. He won many races in a cab. Oh, we got to look like a turbo problem in the Madison boat.
Now he'll just try to hold it in there. He's got to make a decision. No, it's going to go down off plane. There you see the smoke kicking out, and that's about it. Now he's got it fired back up a little bit. I don't know. Meanwhile, Mr. Pringles is operating flawlessly. Yes. Scott Pierce has got to be just thrilled with the way this boat is operating.
He must finish to pick up 300 points, and here comes the winner of Heat 2B, and he likewise, like the Miss Budweiser, has 800 perfect points for 400 for each of his 2 wins in preliminary action.
Boy, that is going to set up quite a battle in the final heat coming up here a little later today in Miami. What a great shot of Scotty Pierce aboard the Mr. Pringles boat. His crew along the seawall in the pits has got to be happy. Miss Madison did manage to get back on plane, and Ron Snyder has finished for second place. So congratulations there, a better ride back than the Sutphin Spirit has. That boat under tow, still having some problems down there, as did the Miller High Life boat. Jim, let's take a look at how these boats finished in Heat 2B.
All right. Before we do that, take a look at this weather, Dick. It's starting to close in. We may have some... Mr. Pringles has 400 points. Wholesale Miss Madison 300. The rest of the fleet either did not start or did not finish.
Let's go down to the pit area now. Mark Spencer standing by with the winner.
Got 2 heat wins in a row. How do you like your chances in the final?
Well, Mark, I think we're going to do a good job. We managed to run that heat with no compressor stalls at all, so it's been the only tournament today that's been able to do that. The crew's doing a marvelous job, and I got my act a little better together for that one and made the start on time, so I think we're all kind of clicking, and it's looking good for the Pringles and Jeff right now.
But your happy price line.
No question, the Miss Budweiser, the defending champion, will be right up in there. Jim Kropfeld is the driver. Also up in there, a guy that's been giving him some problems all day long, George Woods Jr. in the Oh Boy Alberto. Steve David, the rookie, in Pocket Savers Plus. Also in the field today will be the Hulset Miss Madison, Ron Snyder, one of the most consistent boats on the circuit, and the new boat that's proven itself a worthy competitor, Mr. Pringles, Scott Pierce, the driver. And the boats are heading out now. Looks a little unusual there, doesn't it? Well, that's why. We're looking through some sunglasses. They have been used a lot here today in Miami, although now an overcast is coming in.
The start is going to be all important. I wonder where the Pringles will want to start, tight or wide. Likewise, Jim Kropfeld in this boat, the Miss Budweiser.
That's a decision that has to be made early on as the boats come out of turn number 3. We'll take a look, and there you can see the lanes have been established. Now, once they hit the halfway point of that turn, they must maintain their lane up through the start of the race. So at this point, it appears to be Oh Boy Alberto on the inside. He started there all day long, and as they take the start, it is George Woods Jr. in the Oh Boy Alberto leading the pack.
Way back is Pringles getting a bad start in slot number 2. The rookie right in the middle of the pack is Steve David in the Pocket Savers. Budweiser has lane 4 in the far outside. Bouncing wildly is the Miss Madison, the whole set Miss Madison, and the 2 reciprocal boats hit the apex of the first turn on time. The rest, I think we had a problem back there. I'm not sure. All I could see was a wall of water while the 2 reciprocal engines. On the left is Miss Madison with a slight lead. Now Alberto takes over on the inside. I think we have a problem back there. I see red flares. I see red flares going off right now. We've got a problem back in corner number 1. I believe it involves the Miss. It is the Miss Budweiser. Look at that, Dick.
Jimmy Kropfeld is still in the cockpit of the Miss Budweiser. It looks like he has been in some sort of a collision, and we don't know the other boat. It looks like Mr. Pringles. Mr. Pringles is upside down in the water right now. Scotty Pierce is exiting the cockpit through the bottom of the boat. Jimmy Kropfeld still motionless in the Miss Budweiser.
That I don't like. He's either pinned or he's unconscious. Right now they're working. They've got Scotty Pierce out of the Mr. Pringles. His boat is completely upside down. He's got flotation. It's not in danger of sinking. Look at the Budweiser. 2 top contenders wiped out in 1 split second.
The medical team got right out there, and they're attending to Jimmy Kropfeld. Now let's take a look and see if we can spot in the spray exactly what happened out there. There you see the lead boats, Oh Boy Alberto and the Miss Madison. Miss Madison is closest to you as we go through. But concentrate on the back end of the rooster tail. Let's see, there's the Budweiser. Budweiser's popping in and out of the rooster tails. Now let's see what happens to the Budweiser. Somehow he looks like he spun. Did you see the water kick up? It looked like he spun. He may have spun right in front of Mr. Pringles. Keep your eye on where the Budweiser is. We're trailing out, and that's exactly what happened. Pringles comes over the top. There you can see him coming down. Scotty Pierce's boat ending upside down in the water. They have now gotten Jimmy Kropfeld out of the cockpit of the Miss Budweiser. He's being boarded onto the medical boat.
Our radio, we have a frequency on the URC frequency. They are reporting from the boat that he is talking. He is talking. He was pinned. They had to cut him loose. That's why he was motionless. We'll be back with a further report and the restart of the final heat of the HFC American Hydro Series in just a moment. Here at Miami's Marine Stadium now, let's take Dick Crippen on a closer look, if we can, and try to blow up some of these pictures of the accident to the Mr. Pringles and the Miss Budweiser as we slow the action down.
All right, this is the action slowed down, and as we look at the rear of the rooster tail, off to the left-hand side of your screen, you can see the tail of the Miss Budweiser bouncing in and out of the sprays. He seems to be between the 2 sprays at this point. There, now watch that center of your screen. You'll see it now. We kind of circle it in there so you can keep a little better eye on it. All of a sudden, the boat apparently veers and goes against the grain, turns off sharply to the left. You can see the tail spinning, and there you see that rooster tail of water coming up. That's an abnormal spray of water coming up, indicating that the boat has spun. He settles back down into the water immediately, and he is right side up at this point. It would have been fine had there not been another boat coming up behind him. But if you remember in the call originally, the Pringles was a little late in starting, a little bit off the line. Here he comes over the top of the Budweiser. He goes down hard on the right sponson of the boat. It is not enough to stop the boat from rolling over. It ends up on its deck, upside down.